Sanranani loves, welcome back to the channel. First thing first, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, like, and comment there down below. I had a great chat with Ryan Kruger, who's the director of the upcoming movie Friedbarry. They're currently in post-production right now, so I wanted to find out more before the hype.
Ryan, thank you so much for being part of A Bioscope. I am looking forward to this interview, especially since I've been scrolling through like your Instagram. I'm like your number one stalker.
That's good.
Okay, my first question for you is like when I was going through your press pack, you guys are calling the movie an alien abduction. Got me interested about this movie. Not to mention you saying it's the first occult South African film. Tell us about the concept of the film.
Well, to be honest, I'll start with how the film came about, because it's originally what happened was we started. I made a short film, 2017, a 3-minute experimental film called Friedbarry, and we shot that film, and then originally it got 57 official selections around the world in the festivals, and we picked up like 12 awards. And the people that reviewed that movie, they kept on saying, is there going to be a feature? And I'm like, no, it's just a short film. And then somebody else reviewed it, and they also said, is there going to be a feature? And I'm like, no, it's just a one-off short film. And the short film was basically about a heroin addict in a building and freaking out on his latest hit, and that was it. And the movie was designed to make you feel uncomfortable, and it was quite intense. The actor that we used, he's actually not an actor. His name is Gary Green.
Yeah.
And Gary Green, his background is he's basically done like extra work. He's basically done extra work over the years, and over the years I've put him in music videos, but just as small parts, because with music videos it's a visual thing, so he doesn't need to do dialogue or anything like that. So it's been one of those things where I know what I can get out of him, and I know he can't do dialogue and this and this and this. So visually for music videos, I've cast him and I've put him in little bits here and there, because I know I'll be able to get what I want out of him. Now with the short film, doing all the festival runs and the wins, what started happening then, which was really strange, was we started getting fan art. So the fan art people that saw the film around the world at festivals started randomly doing all this fan art and posting up, and I found out by mistake that this fan art was going on, and then it just kind of blew out of control, and people were still doing fan art. And then I actually Googled Friedbarry to see if anybody else is talking about it.
Yeah. And
I actually found like an illegal download, and it had like 90,000 views on the short. So that also explains some more of the fan art. And then people started to do research and look at the Friedbarry Facebook page. So yeah, it just started to grow from there. So after the people that reviewed the movie and kept on saying, is there going to be a feature? And from the start, it was like, it was designed as a little short film. And then at the same time, now that kind of planted the seed in my head. And I'm thinking, how the hell would I make this 3-minute short film into a feature, and how could I develop it? I had no idea. I had no idea how would this, this would be possible. And then basically the one day, I woke up and I had this great idea and how it would work. Because the biggest thing is as well is, even though Gary did brilliantly, and it was his biggest role that he's done in the short film, it's like, how would I be able to do a feature with Gary as a lead in a feature film?
Yeah.
And that was obviously the hardest part. So in 3 or 4 days, I got this idea, and then in 3 or 4 days, I wrote a scene breakdown for the movie. So I didn't write a script; I wrote a scene breakdown, and I built the whole movie around Gary for it to work. And that was the interesting thing. So, like, the whole movie is all improv. Everything is improv. There's probably maybe about 5 to 6 pieces of dialogue that I wrote prior to the time, and as we were filming, the movie was developing as we were going. So every day that we started filming, the only people that knew what was going on was me, my DOP, and my producer.
Yeah.
And briefly, what I told the other actors, you're going to be doing this. So when we would get on set, Gary didn't know anything. I was like, because I didn't want to tell him anything. He would overthink everything.
Yeah.
And so it was just basically on the day, okay, we're going to do this, and this is what we're going to do. And I shaped Gary's performance as we went on, and would workshop each scene as it came. So it would be like, okay, so this is what I've got. This happens. So let's say maybe you say this, maybe you say that. Okay, action, go. And then we'd see it. Okay, cool. And then I'd say, okay, rather say this, rather say that, and we just shaped each scene with the improv. But the great thing about that's where a lot of the magic came from, and nothing was set in stone. Because normally, when you make films, you've got the script, you've got with like Hollywood films and certain big movies, you've got to stick to the script. It's almost like a respect to the writer, and you've got to stick to the script. So the great thing about this was that we didn't have anything set in stone. If we had a better idea on the day, or if we had a new idea on the spot, we could do it, and that's what was great about it. So the story of the feature. Basically, a heroin addict that gets abducted by aliens, and then once he gets abducted by aliens, the real Barry is taking a back seat, and the aliens in total control, and it's basically alien tourist walking around and it's experiencing Cape Town, experiencing Earth, and it's the people that he meets experience him. So it's almost like a road movie where there's this journey, and he's meeting all these people as it goes along. So originally what we wanted to do with this film is we wanted to make, like a cult classic style film. Yeah. Now, I can't call my film a cult classic, but we went out to try and make, a very cult style movie, and then hopefully maybe we would get this like cult classic style film. But we've definitely got the look of like a cult style film. It's an indie film, and at the same time, it's one part horror. There is one part comedy. There's like a little love story in there. But the best way to describe the genre, looking at itself, is a cult film, and we have the sci-fi elements.
Can I ask, what are you referencing for like your films, the look, and what inspired it, like the occult genre?
Well, the thing is, you get to sit in like, cult style movies. So I mean, you get those original cult style movies where it's a classic of what it is. Yeah. Or like one of my references was an Australian movie called Bad Boy Bubby. It's like an early 90s movie. But for me as a filmmaker, I do all genres, but the stuff that I like the most for myself personally is more the dark and edgy stuff, and I love characters. That's the biggest thing with me. I love working with characters. I also love working with non-actors. I work with a lot of professional actors as well. And for me, my biggest inspiration is probably like 80s American cinema. So for me, I love the, E.T. and, I love all those like, old school 80s movies, the look and the feel of it, the music, the characters. So yeah, I love like, 80s Steven Spielberg or David Cronenberg or John Carpenter. So I mean, I have my references for my film, but at the same time, the film is completely different than all my references. It's like, you know, I mean, we live in a day and age now where everything is a remake of a remake.
Yeah.
Even if it's not the same title and it's a remake, it's just like the same film.
Yeah.
It's just with a different title. So
nothing is original anymore.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing. And I'm not saying friedbarry is like super original or anything like that, but it's very different.
But
like my references that I have, it's still very different to that. So I don't. It does have like I haven't seen a film like this. Put it that way. I haven't seen a film like this, which is a cool thing.
Can you tell us like anything unorthodox that you guys did? Can you like give us an insight what happened on set and stuff like that?
Well, yeah. It's coming back to the improv. I mean, we had a private investor for the movie. So the thing is, most studio movies and people that put money into movies, they would never put money into a movie like this because how we shot it. Nobody's going to give somebody money and say, "Here's some money. There's no script. Do what you like." Nobody's going to do that. So the great thing about this is that you know we had our own private investor for the film, and me and my producer, executive producers on it. So it was really, you know, doing whatever we wanted to do. There was no, there was no studio behind us or anything where people could say, "Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't put that in. You're not allowed that." So it was great to be let off the chain and do whatever we wanted to do. And we're also kind of making this film for ourselves. Like we enjoy this type of genre and we enjoy this type of movie. So yeah, it's been an experience.
Has your private investor invested in films before?
Yes. Oh. Yeah. It's basically the three of us that funded.
More about yourself. I know that you've been here in South Africa for a while, but can you tell me how did the love of film came to you, and actually how did you end up being here?
So I'm half South African. So my mom's English and my dad's South African. So I've lived here for 11 years, but at the same time I've been back and forth my whole life. My love of film started when I was a kid. I always watched movies, always enjoyed movies, always wanted to be an actor, I always wanted to be a director. So I've literally always done what I've always done. And I started out in acting professionally first, and then went into to directing later on. So I think it was like around like 97, 98. You know, I had my own like little camera, and I used to shoot all these films on the weekends or the summer holidays. And then it just developed through there, and I was directing, and then didn't realize I was. Not that I didn't realize that I was directing, but it was, at that time, I really just wanted to do acting, which my acting sucked back then because I was busy directing the films. So when it came to my performance, it was always bad. But after every film, I always learned, more and more and more stuff. So it was like self-taught myself from watching movies and picking up a camera and learning movies. And then it was just about learning all the names of certain things. But I must admit, starting with acting first. Yeah. Starting with acting first and then going into directing. It's vice versa. I mean, my acting helps with my directing. My directing helps me with my acting. You're
an all-round filmmaker. Like, if people actually saw you, like, ever since we started communicating, I've run into a couple of commercials which you in, and it's actually quite interesting for your love of acting.
Yeah, the funny thing is, like, everybody knows me as a director and not as an actor. So I'm pretty sure when people see me acting, they'll probably think, this director, he's trying to have a go at the acting thing now. So, but originally, as I said, I started acting first, and then went into directing. And then when I came here to South Africa, It was in 2008. I started shooting music videos. So when I started shooting music videos, I did like one or two music videos, and I think by my second video that came out, that it did really well. And then from there, I just constantly started getting work, and I didn't have to pitch for any music videos. The artist would just ring me up and say, hey, we want you to do this video, and I would have total control, which was great. And it was great that I didn't have to pitch for any music videos, and I didn't have to, the artist basically gave me the job. And then, as what I normally do is I only do my own concepts. So yeah, it was one of those things where, this is what we're going to do, this and this, but obviously for inspiration and stuff, so I'd be on the right line, and the same wavelength as the artist. I'd be like, what is the song about? What is the feel behind it? And then I'll take that, and then I'll come up with a concept, and then they were always happy with it. And so yeah, over the years, doing the music videos, I was more known for like my narrative storytelling within music videos or my visual stuff. So I didn't really like doing performance, because it's not that it's a little bit boring for me, you know what I mean? You're just filming a person sing, and the artist always has their thing. They always have the way they dance and this, so you don't really want to direct them do that. So that's why I always did my visual stuff or my narrative storytelling, like short films within a music video, which and I did that because I wanted to do feature films.
Yeah. Can you tell us how was it challenging for you, since you're a music video director, moving to actually create a feature film?
I would say, there's a lot of people that started out in music videos and go to commercials, and a lot of people, producers would say, oh, he hasn't done commercials before, and he's doing a music video. But the thing is, a commercial, you've got so many seconds to get a story across, in a commercial. And the thing is, because I'm a narrative music video director, it's the same thing. It's about getting a story from, beginning, middle, and end within 2-3 minutes. It's just a little bit longer than a commercial. So for me, I've always done a lot of writing, and I've always come up with stories. So in a sense, it was no different directing a feature film, in a sense of, because I've made short films before, and working with actors and working with dialogue, because that's the biggest thing. Obviously, you have to have a solid story, but it's directing, the performance and directing actors, and that's where most people will struggle as directors, because they either only just do commercials, or they do music videos where they're not actually trying to get performance out of or dialogue out of people and hitting the beats. It's more of a visual thing. So with a feature film, obviously, it's over an hour long, and you have to hit those beats in every scene, directing the actors and making the story come across. But the challenge was for friedbarry that our lead actor Gary Green, he's not an actor, so, and that's why I built it around him to make it work. But the thing is, even if I got the best actor in the country to be the lead in this movie, it wouldn't be the same. It would be nowhere near as good, and that's why I wrote this for Gary, and Gary's the perfect person to be in this film and to play this character. Nobody could have played it better than Gary. I just had to shape him, and there was difficulties, as we went on. Not so much. There was only about like 3 or 4 times where I struggled for like little bits with him, but besides that, it was fine. And he listened to me, and he was eager to. He gave 110%. He's been amazing on set. He's a great guy. He's a strange looking guy.
Yes.
He's a lovely person. He's such a great guy. He's very humble, and he's given it 120%. Like every time we do something, he's willing to do it again and again and again. And that's the great thing about it, that he's keen, and it's a big thing for him. I mean, even though for me, it's a big thing to do a feature film, and it's my first feature film. But even for Gary, from jumping from extra work to a feature film is huge. Is absolutely huge for him.
It is.
And it's and that's that's the great thing about it, because I know nobody would ever use Gary in a feature film. Like nobody would give that guy an opportunity. And with me, I love characters, and I love it like a clean slate. He hasn't picked up all these certain things where, you know, you try to get actors to like lose certain bits when you're like, no, they have their like habits where they go, no, you stop doing this and stop doing that. So Gary had a clean slate for me just to work from, and that's why I didn't tell him anything. So every day we were on set, he didn't know what we were doing until we were doing it, like a few seconds before we were doing it. So and as an actor, like even me as an actor, I would love to act in a film where I don't have to stress about learning my lines or anything like that. I just turn up and I do it. Like I think all actors would be like, that is amazing, no stress. You just listen to the director on the day, and then that's it.
You know, it's actually quite interesting when you say about his facial expressions. Like your Instagram is looking very crazy. I'm quite impressed. Can you tell me more about the cinematography and his vision for the movie?
Well, yeah, the cinematography. The interesting thing about that, the story goes a lot deeper, but I'm not going to go too much into it. Also,
yeah, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it for us.
Yeah, no. I'm not telling you like story or anything like that. But what I mean is, at the time I was going through a bit of a rough time, and I wanted to make. I badly wanted to make a movie. I've come close so many times to make a movie, and it just doesn't happen. And I got to a point where I just said, like, fuck it. I just gotta make this. I just gotta make this film. I've just gotta do it. And the producer, James C. Williamson, who I started working with, we only did like one project together. I hadn't even known him for that long, and I just said to him when I got that idea and wrote a scene breakdown in those days, I said to him, I'm making a movie next month. And I'm not changing it. I'm not going to prolong it, and it gets brought back. And originally we had a DOP to shoot the movie, and then he let me down. So then it was like, oh shit! Now it's 3 days before shooting, and we haven't got a DOP. So we were like, oh shit! So like, so James was like, hey, no, like we're gonna have to stop. We're gonna have to think about this. And I was like, no, we're gonna get somebody. It's gonna work out. And it's like 3 days away. We planned already for a week shooting. So we're like, shit. Well, how are we gonna do this? And then we started ringing all these different DOPs of people that I know I like and know that I would work with. And then funny enough, we came across this one DOP, Gareth Place, who was, we actually went to film school together, but we actually never ever spoke. He was in his little team, I was in my little team, and we actually never ever spoke. And I knew he looked familiar, but I didn't even know his name. He'll probably shout at me now for this, but I've briefly told him this before. But we never ever spoke. And then I said to him, he said to me, oh, cool, I'm keen to get on board. So originally, me and James thought, oh shit, we're going to have to use so many different DOPs to make this movie. I think that's the only way we're going to be able to pull it off and to do it how we want to do it. And then, so Gareth, the DP, he came on board and he was like, okay, cool, he can do 4 or 5 days, but he can't do the weekend. And I was like, cool. And I said to James, well, we'll just get another DOP like after that. So at least we've got the first week sorted.
How long were you guys planning to shoot for? Sorry.
Well, the design of the film and the way we've done it, and with everything, is that we shot it in blocks. So we did like 3 days there, and some days off, and then we did more days. So then, yeah, Gareth got on board. He did the 4 days, and he said, "Listen, I can't do the weekend because he's going away with his girlfriend, and he can't do more." And after the few days, it went really well working with him, and we just like really bonded, and it was just, we had this good connection. And then I just said to him, because he also, like, for his career, he also wanted, to shoot a whole feature. Yeah. So I said to him, okay, listen, if you don't go away on the weekend, I'll give you the rest of the movie. Like that, you can shoot the rest of the movie with me. Yeah. I said, but you're going to have to tell your girlfriend you won't be able to go away on the weekend. So then the next thing he was like, okay, deal. And I was like, just tell your girlfriend I said, just tell your girlfriend. I said, like, I'm sorry. So then he did the other days, and then he was our DP for the rest of the movie. And like my approach to the movie, of like the references that I had and the style of what I had, and building the story like with like these POVs of the experience of the Barry character and stuff like that. So the thing is, Gareth was mainly doing like commercials and having everything like really cleanly lit and bright, and it's very commercial. And what I wanted was completely not what he normally does. So it was the first few days, it was like, no, it's all about it's all about the dark, and it's all about the shadows, and it has to be gritty. I don't want it to be polished and clean and stuff like that. It needs to look like a gritty cult style movie. So then after as days went on, you got the hang of it, and he was great. We've come up with so many great ideas during filming, and the movie literally developed as we went. I mean, and that's why I said with the improv and the no script, and the story developed as we went along. Like we'll be driving from one location to the next, and I would have a scrap piece of paper writing, okay, this happens next, and
it sounds renegade. It's the renegade filmmaking thing.
Yeah, but it was comfortable. I mean, yes. There was some bits with a bit of chaos, but it was good, and that's why the great thing is that nothing was set in stone. So that's when we say normal films, this is what we're doing. We're going to do this, and even if it's shit, you still, or even if it is what it is, that's all what you can do. On the day of a normal film, you can't go, right, let's change this all around, let's make all this different, and instead of him doing this, let's have him doing that. And people and money and producers, they haven't got time for that. They can't do that, and that's where the magic has come from making this film. Is we did whatever we wanted to do, and in a sense, it's like I like all genres of movies, and the same as with my producer. We like all different types of films, but we wanted to make something different and gritty and edgy, and no rules. No studio couldn't say to us, "Oh, you can't do that," "Oh no, that's too rude," "Oh no, you're going to get shouted at for that." We just did what we wanted to do, and that's very rare. And and if the movie comes out and it gets banned, so it gets banned, and then that'll
I would love to watch it.
Yeah, and at the same time that creates publicity. But South Africa is a very conservative country with with the type of films that they make and stuff like that. So in a sense, even though there's a big South African stamp on this movie, and there is Afrikaans in it, and it is set in Cape Town, at the same time it still has an international feel to it, and we are distributing it like overseas, and we are selling it overseas. So at the same time, I know this type of film won't make a lot of money in this country, you know, and that's just the way it is.
There are other ways for you guys to explore. Most people now are thinking about the option of releasing like digitally, like in digital platforms. Would you guys consider that?
It would have to be obviously on like a Netflix, like a Netflix sort of thing or something like that, but not
or Amazon, because Amazon is also interested in South African films right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's all about getting a bigger, better deal, and letting the movie see letting the movie breathe and actually live its life out there in the world, and not sit somewhere on a shelf, or not have proper distribution, or not really get out there, because then it's like, what the hell are you doing? What was the point of making the movie? Yeah. So, but for the crowd, for our target market audience, and the people that like horror films and like those cult films, this movie is made for them. I know loads of people will like this movie, and I know loads of people will not like this movie whatsoever. It's one of those, you either like it or you don't. So, but I think, sorry, say it again?
It will provoke action either way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's the thing, you know, in South Africa compared to overseas, there's certain things that are in movies here, and you know, people go, oh no, you can't have that, or you can't do that, and then that same scene overseas, they don't even think twice about it. They don't even think anything about it. So, and that's why I say, like, South Africa is quite conservative. It is slowly changing, and it is getting better, but still, the stuff as a filmmaker that I've been through, shooting music videos and thinking, oh, you know, this has to go on TV, so it can't have this.
Yeah.
Or the band's audience, no, they're very conservative, so you can't have this. And sometimes I'm like, what, really? So it's always been a challenging thing to do what I want to do and to do my style of things, and you know, and not give a shit about any of that stuff, because personally, I don't, you know, I want to make what I want to make, and I don't really, you know, it's funny because going back to the whole thing again, in like South Africa, they say, oh no, you can't have this, you're going to have to cut this out, you're going to have to do this, but then it's all right to have hectic scenes of movies in our cinemas in this country from different countries, but when it comes to our own, we can be a bit picky about it.
Good point.
So it doesn't always make sense, but there is a few South African films out there that's been a bit edgy and stuff like that. So you know, good for them, and you know, I think that's what we like. If we like South Africa, we're so far behind of making certain movies, and you know, we've done a lot of based on true story movies and stuff, and that's good. But we're also, a lot of people like in the industry, we're over all that stuff. We want like news stories. Why can't we make different genres of movies all the time? And a lot of different genres in this country doesn't make money. But if we don't start doing all these different type of films, then it's never ever going to change. So hopefully with like friedbarry, it will spring off more things for other filmmakers to go, cool, we want to also do films like this, because we can't just stick at one or two genres and just do that. Like, we need to develop the film industry, and we need to develop these films that get out there, so we can do. Most actors in this country, they just want to do cool stuff. They just want to sink their teeth into cool characters.
Yeah.
And you know, that's what all actors want, and just stories, and not do the same poverty movies or some of the comedies or this or that, you know, or rom-coms. Or rom-coms. And I mean, and they're the movies that people do and make and watch, and like, we've got to think way more out of the box, like way more out of the box.
And I think it's an indication if not enough South Africans are watching those movies, maybe they're not interested in those genres. It's time for people to explore. But my next question for you is that in the press kit, it's written that 100 cast members. That sounds like a big budget. How did you manage everybody, especially without a script?
So all the actors, so there's like over 100 actors, and as I said, the movie's like a road movie. It's a journey of friedbarry, and he meets all these different people. So I mean, all the some actors have bigger roles than others, but he meets all these characters as he goes along. So I mean, there was like over 60 locations in the movie, over 100 actors. So it was, it is a kind of a pretty big concept to do and everything. And a lot of all the actors, I think there was a small handful of actors that I hadn't worked with before, and the rest I've worked with either many times before or I've just worked with them before. So it was about, it's basically like all the Cape Town actors, basically. And we did have some guys fly down from Johannesburg and stuff like that. And there was probably about 15 actors that I didn't work with that I would have liked to work with out of South Africa. So it was
100 wasn't enough.
100 wasn't enough. So, but it was cool. It was, and that's why I'm saying it was great to, for all these people to come together, and, I'm passionate about indie filmmaking. I mean, at the same time, I run the South African Independent Film Festival, SA Indie Film Fest. So we're always promoting and trying to get, independent filmmakers and indie films, screened on the cinema and stuff like that, because that's, we have to look after our other filmmakers and, build the industry, so people's work get out there more. Because there's a lot of talent out there, and there's a lot of people not getting chances to promote the work. And even for me, I've tried for years to try and do a feature. I've come close so many times, and then something always happens. And that's why I got to a point where I'm like, I'm just going to do this film. Fuck everybody else. I'm just going to do it. And that's the thing. And we went out there and we did it. And that's the thing. And that's why I didn't want to change the date for when we were filming. Or it will just get delayed and pushed back and pushed back. Like, you just got to do it. And that was the biggest thing. And I'm so happy that, I made that decision, and my producer stood by me, and we did it, and we made it happen.
Can you tell us more about the locations? Can you say the places where you guys shot at?
So it's mainly all around Cape Town. We shot in Sea Point and Greenpoint. We shot in OBS. We shot in Woodstock. We did scenes in the Panelux Panavision studios. So yeah, it's all around Cape Town and Kloof Street and Long Street, and we shot everywhere, all around town and Maitland and everything. And the look that we gave the film, we didn't. Most people come here and they make South Africa, when they make Cape Town look like, all these different countries, and they make it look beautiful and this and this. And with us, we wanted to do. We wanted to give like a new look, a new look to Cape Town, in the sense of we wanted the dark side of Cape Town. So and we had this kind of a theme running through the film, and a look where we shot a lot of stuff under highways and under bridges and stuff like that. So there is definitely like a certain look that we went for, and it doesn't always completely look how we've seen Cape Town before. So yeah, we just wanted to give it a new, fresh look on film. That people haven't really seen Cape Town look like before.
You guys are in post right now. Have you realized that you're missing any shots? What's actually going on? What's the next step for you guys?
Yeah, well, it's just a process now. So obviously, it's we've started the editing, and then eventually we're going to start doing the working on the visual effects here and there, and Hazer is doing the music for the film. So yeah, it's just we have to juggle all departments, so something's always happening. At least one guy's we're working on the edit, another person's working on the visual effects for that scene. Hazer's looking at the music as we complete certain scenes, so you can start doing the music, and then obviously from there, it's the the grading and the mastering and then the sound design and all that. So it's still obviously a very big process, and obviously we want to try and finish it as soon as possible, because then everything's a delay of a delay.
Is it a 2020 release?
Would be nice if it was this year. So it all depends. It's one of those things. It's my first feature. It has to be good. It has to be. It has to be exactly right. So I mean, obviously we want to get this done as soon as possible, but at the same time, it has to be right. So if it takes a little bit longer, then it takes a little bit longer. But it has to be right. I mean, at the end of this year, it would be great. That's what we're aiming for.
Hope you guys like that interview. Follow the movie on Instagram. They have crazy graphics. I'm looking forward to see how it performs in film festivals, straight to cinemas. Besides that,